This week, the Union is stuck between the horrific incompetence of General Nathaniel, oh no, oh no, oh god no, Banks, and the terrible bastard that is General Nathan Bedford Forrest. This week is Pleasant Hill and Fort Pillow. That name should strike fear into all our hearts. Let's start with the continuing blunders of Banks. They saw his army defeated and my patience tested, and this week begins with the aftermath of that battle. The Army of the Gulf fell back to Pleasant Hill, where it was reinforced by Brigadier General Andrew J. Smith's detachment. The rebels were also supported as General Parsons and General Churchill bring in their Missouri and Arkansas forces. These fresh forces engage each other, but it is clear that Smith is the superior commander. At 5, the rebels try to organize a charge. They're able to overrun the exposed left and center, but the right wheels, which breaks their assailants. Sheets of lead fall on the enemy. Confederate cavalry try to rescue their infantry by charging into a melee, but a well-positioned Iowa regiment is able to ambush and send those horsemen back to their camp. The rebels lost, suffering 1,626 casualties to Banks' 1,269. In the words of the daft Nathaniel,
"God bless you, General. You have saved the army."
Banks uses this victory to retreat to Grand Ecore. What a man! His subordinates hate this, all of them, General Smith, General Franklin, and Admiral Porter. And soon we see them break away from their incompetent Imperator. Porter and Smith decide to break away from the main force and take to the defense of each other. General Thomas Smith, commanding a division under General Andrew Smith, loads his force onto the ships and watches them blast away a rebel horse artillery scheme. Down the river, they float to safety, but shame. The rebels lose their cavalry officer, General Thomas Greene, but no one cares. The only hope is General Steele and the Union Army from Arkansas. They are starving. Their slow march has made them run through their rations, and time is needed to bring up supply from Little Rock. This gives time for General Sterling Price to dig in, but quick and clever thinking from Steele scares Missouri General into fleeing. Skirmishing continues, but finally on the 15th, we take Camden. Steele is infuriatingly slow, but he is a winner. I just wish he would get a move on. This week is stuck between the Red River Campaign and Fort Pillow, so I'm just going to run through the other actions. The 9th has General-in-Chief Ulysses S. Grant begin to execute his plan. First thing first, get the war towards Meade moving.
Lee's army will be your objective point. Wherever Lee goes, there you will go also.
What a plan. Next is the politics of Virginia. The 11th sees not the Confederates, but the restored government of Virginia pass a new constitution, recognizing West Virginia, changing the state assembly, removing the right to vote for Confederate soldiers, and ending slavery. I usually would be overjoyed. But this restored government controls no territory and has no way to enforce its laws. Elsewhere in Virginia is the hero of the traitors, General Robert.E.Lee, who sends a plea to President Jefferson Davis.
"I cannot see how we can operate with our present supplies. Any derangement in their arrival or disaster to the R&R would render it impossible for me to keep this army together."
Things are looking bad for the Army of Northern Virginia. How about Kentucky? The state hasn't seen severe fighting in about 20 months, but opportunistic Confederate raiders still pollute it. Such a raid is repulsed on the 13th to the 14th. The Union loses slight to none, the rebels 60 KIA or WIA, 60 MIA, so 120 total, 200 horses, 400 saddles, and 300 small arms. This will teach those stupid secessionists. The 14th has Lincoln pardoning several court-martialed men. One such person is Private Patrick Murphy. Why is a private being singled out? Well, just for me to complain about Thomas P. Lowry. This servant of serpents changed the date of Murphy's pardon to 1865 to claim that it was one of the last orders Lincoln ever signed. This man defaced a national relic to lie to sell more books. Set back the research in mental health and sexuality in the Civil War decades. And he still writes, despite confessing, has claimed innocence. So please, if you ever meet Lowry, curse him for me. The final thing before we get to Fort Pillow is Governor Andrew Johnson of Tennessee, denouncing slavery and voicing his support for emancipation, despite earlier asking for more of Tennessee to be exempted from Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. Either his heart has changed or the political winds did, and I feel a breeze. Now for the elephant in the room. This event is the most notorious one of the entire Civil War. It deserves its own episode. In fact, that's what it will get. But to explain the event as it happened in the week, General Nathan Bedford Forrest attacks and overtakes Fort Pillow, and African-American soldiers are massacred. That's where I'll end the week. Sickles is on a train ride to the south. Let's review. Without considering Fort Pillow, we see the Union play defensive, from Pleasant Hill to the raid in Kentucky. It's interesting, given this week started with the aggressive Grant giving the order for total war. But even if we aren't taking territory, we are grinding down the rebel armies. The only issue is that General Banks doesn't seem to realize that one wins battles by having the fewest casualties possible, not the most. I'll see you all next week. As you can tell, I am back in my, new, old set. I'm back in this set. But I just want to thank everyone for sticking with me through the St. Louis saga, through the Annapolis saga, through the Chicago saga. I've had a lot of sagas. But seriously, your support means the world to me. I'm so happy you guys enjoy what I do. I really do hope to see you next week.